Today's video is probably going to be the most wholesome that you are ever going to get from me. It's interesting because I had thought about this one maybe some 7 years ago, but for some reason I changed my mind. And given that I had some things suffered damage from a storm during the time that I didn't have a home, I thought, I really wish I would have done a preservation kind of technique. And I regret it a little bit because some did end up getting lost and damaged. But I'm here today to share my childhood photos, or at least some. And I thought it would be pretty neat to react to them. I have already looked through them, but I didn't really evaluate them closely like I usually would. The very first thing that I can say is what I told someone else, which is it's interesting how your perception changes after time, and sometimes for the good, for the better, sometimes for the bad, or for the worst. Let's see what I am willing to share with you guys here. When I was a kid, my dad had two horses, but I don't even know if these are supposed to be his. But I just know that as a child, I did get to ride horses. And that's one of the things that I miss doing. I really wish I still did that. Now, I'm not going to show the faces of anybody else who's not me on the photos because of respecting their privacy. It's not like I have asked them, hey, would you like to potentially be observed by tens of people who I absolutely don't know? And I think that is just the best way to go about this. I really like this one. And then my mom is right there next to me. But I really like this one because it just captures me from up close, and I really have what appears to be an excited face. I would expect that a baby would be afraid of a horse, but I'm definitely a little older there, a little bigger, so maybe I just learned to not fear them. Or maybe I never was fearful of them in the first place. I'll have to ask my mom. It's crazy to me that my hair at some point used to be thicker. God, I hate my hair. I absolutely hated it when I was a kid because it always made me look like I have a damn mushroom shaped kind of head. Mom always tried to style me. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but it's just not, it doesn't match my face, you know? I've always felt straight hair is the best appearance for me. In the present time, at least I learned what products work and which ones don't and how to style it overall, and now I have a better time. I legit do not remember ever having shoes that had like an animal's face to it, but I guess I did have shoes like that. That's interesting. I always thought the only ones that I had were borrowed from some other kid. Arr! I went to an elementary school in which I needed to wear a uniform. Blech. And holy shit, analog TVs. To me, that TV was the most extraordinary thing. It was big at the time, and my gaming consoles, I used to think they looked incredible. Lol. And evidence of me being a Girl Scout. Like a total cat lady, I love to hang out in tight places. Cabinets. What's up with children just wanting to go into fucking cabinets? One of the dangerous places you can be. When it comes to sleeping positions, nobody slept better than me. I remember that eating, of course, was my favorite time of the day, but at least I didn't linger in a messy state for very long. I remember having a party. I just loved messing with my food. For some reason, this is one of my favorite pictures as a kid. I feel like it just captured me best. Like the hair looks pretty decent at the time. My eyebrows were still full. I'm not gonna front. I do wonder what I would have looked like had nothing happened to my eyebrows. This is probably my second favorite. And I don't know why, but everybody's house that I went to, they all seem to have that freaking couch. It's the most vintage thing ever. I wish I could tie my hair in top knots, but I guess those days are over for me. Evidence that my hair used to fro the fuck up. Yeah! When I saw this one, it really made me laugh. I wonder if babies putting up a fist means that they're full. But I totally remember that. It's my brother feeding me. And the best thing about what I'm wearing is that I think that's the same outfit that I wore when it had just rained and there was this extremely muddy puddle. And as you can see, mom put a lot of effort into my white look, and then I ended up splashing that mud all over, ruined it. Here's evidence that I am from the coastline, and as someone from a naval kind of town, I did fishing. I loved fishing. It was fun. It used to be scary anytime I would fish out something like a fucking eel, but at least it worked out. I did get to meet my great grandfather, and he is from like the early 1900s, maybe 1907. So I was pretty privileged that he was still alive until I was like 8 years old. I was pretty privileged that he was still alive while I was growing up. At work, I was conversing with someone about being born with a specific hair type and how it changed, or some people have been losing hair and stuff, and I'm like, well, my hair, it's still pretty much intact for the most part, but thinning in some areas. But here's the proof that I, as a newborn, had a full head of hair. Isn't it unbelievable just how drastically different we are as infants? We all look kind of the same, and then eventually our features start taking over. I'm guessing this might have been when my grandfather met me. Yeah, he would have been in like his 40s, possibly, still. Yeah, he looks very young. If there's one person I wish would have lingered a little longer, it's him. It's crazy to think that some of the objects I'm seeing in these photos are still around. And they were old when I arrived. So to think that they're even older, it really hits. My great-grandfather, when he's holding me, makes me feel how Dusty felt to me when he was a kitten and he could fit in my hand and I still had room in my hand. Well, his hand, it almost looks like his hand covered like 3/4 of my body. Before I was a fan of Metal Gear, I dominated the cardboard box hiding game before anyone else. And see, this is proof that I have worn size 20 since the very beginning. And this is proof that I was a child prodigy and I finished high school by the time I was 3. Beat that. Shit. I wish I could still butterfly like that. My knees definitely do not touch the ground anymore. Well, they do if I push my feet outwardly as opposed to closer to me. But, yeah. And my favorite pet used to be the dragons that are now considered an invasive species. I remember how big that mug got. He grew to be full size and I used to think it was the coolest thing ever. And this is evidence that dogs are life. Those are the photos. And now, looking back, I'm grateful that pictures like that exist, but when I reflect on it, my first thought after I looked at them prior to filming this is people used to take photos to record moments, to capture moments. But now, and I'm a victim of this myself, as soon as I got my first digital camera, I was obsessed with taking pictures of myself. And I wasn't capturing anything, I was just capturing myself. Many different angles, different hairstyles. Sometimes I liked how I looked with my hair just fresh out of the shower. Those were usually the times when I would take pictures because my hair, when it's wet, it looks straighter. I also liked that fresh look to my face. But anytime I would try to take pictures of me wearing makeup, I thought, this doesn't look awesome. And when I would clean my face and then take a picture, I genuinely always liked how I looked without it. And that's when I said to myself, okay, I am convinced that no makeup is my way to go. I'm convinced that straight hair is my best way to go. I'm convinced that plastic glasses are the most suitable kind for me. I'm convinced that earrings that dangle tend to be better for me, but earring or no earring, it doesn't really matter to me. But pictures like this, at least in the past decade, I honestly have no recollection of me being in a picture in which a moment is being captured, at least in a group setting. And something else that hit me about my childhood is that I do feel like I was remembering it correctly. My early childhood, my mid childhood, those were great times. Like I could see these pictures, and although my memory of them is almost non-existent because now my late childhood I hardly remember it, I can say that those were great times. And when I used to be a kid looking at my infant photos, I used to think, okay, first of all, I don't remember that, but second of all, who took that picture and why would you take that picture? I hate this picture because my face is messy, or because my diaper this, or I'm extra fat, this and that. Things like that. I used to think these pictures were cringe, but now I guess as an adult, you just mellow out from that type of thing, that kind of harsh criticism. And now I'm glad that those photos captured moments like that. But also, who was the photographer? Of course, it was mom most of the time. But yeah, people used to take out their cameras, and I guess they had to make the shot count because you had to develop the film and stuff, whatever happened to those times. And now I feel like even though we can take videos now, which I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had a video of my childhood. Sometimes I think, I wonder if footage from 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, any video surveillance cameras, if that footage is stored forever or if it gets overwritten. But I would love to observe, even if it's from a security cam, just what I looked like as a kid, how I behaved as a kid. Because as a kid, the only time I ever saw myself was through a mirror or through a photo. I never really got to see myself moving very much, not much action, and my own voice. What was it like? Another thing is, I would give anything to be able to see footage of me going shopping with my grandparents, especially with my grandfather. I know I'm never gonna find that, but it's just interesting, very interesting. And those pictures, sure, you can tell they're dated, but I feel like everybody who has childhood photos, they all tend to be very similar. They tend to be themed around the same thing, which is baby, baby eat, baby playing with toy, baby doing baby thing. I'm grateful for those photos and I hope that I get to preserve them for as long as I can. Let me know your thoughts around how you feel or you react when it comes to your own childhood photos. What did they reveal about you? For me, they revealed that they were happier times because I was not by myself and I had family around. And the family at the time, I guess all of the leaders, all of the managers were still around. Like my great grandfather was there, my grandfather was there. Those paternal figures, those managerial figures were there, providers. But as soon as they started departing, that's when stuff in my family started getting rough, as you can expect. And it's really sad because I would really give anything to be able to go back to those times, that part of those times, that aspect of those times. And then I think that if I would have had familial support for longer, that type, there is no way that I would have turned out into the moody, bitter bastard that I am now. And it's very, very likely that I would have been a way healthier and more confident person than I ever was. Because when I think about it, sometimes when I think about my shyness, I feel like I'm shy because, in a sense, I may have interpreted stuff that I learned as be timid, be guarded for your safety. But sometimes when I do what I do in the daytime, I'm like, I'm not afraid of people. I don't have a problem coming up to you and telling you whatever you have to do. There are some things that I will communicate to you in a more discreet manner, but it's not because I'm embarrassed or anything. It's because this is for your ears only, and this is why, type of deal. It was nice to look at that. I got a good laugh out of some of those pictures. And then that's when I said, okay, I'm gonna make a video about them just to share. But I think I should have captured my initial response when I looked at them for the first time. All right, I'm out.